You think I'm too old to cut the cake, huh? When I'm that old, you get the shovel and dig the hole.
Shovel!
Yes, my angel.
Shovel! Shovel!
Howdy folks, I'm back with another look at a classic episode of the original Twilight Zone. In my last Twilight Zone review, I made the bold statement that A Stop at Willoughby was the best episode ever. And I stand by that, as it is my own opinion. Just like the claim I'm making here that this is the most terrifying episode of the Twilight Zone ever. And I mean it. Alright? So it's October, Halloween time folks! And it made me think, what really has terrified or scared me in the world of film or television? And every answer I came up with was something I saw as a kid. Right, pumpkin? I grew this pumpkin on my very own spaghetti farm. Not the biggest one, but still a fairly decent pumpkin, right? Anyhow, as an adult now, I find it hard to be scared or terrified of a movie or a show since I know how fake it all is now. But as a kid, even though my parents assured me that it was all just a movie and a show and that it was all fake, I was still genuinely terrified and scared of things I saw in movies and TV. And I liked it. I liked that it had the power to affect me that much. Isn't that right? Oh yeah. See, Pumpkin agrees. We don't need you anymore anyway. And no episode of The Twilight Zone affected me that way, quite the way this episode did, that I saw sometime back in the late 1980s, when I personally first saw it as just a little kid. And I still remember it to this day because of how much it frightened me. It was the season 2 episode, Long Distance Call. Ha! Long Distance Call, indeed. To the other side. So they charge by the minute in the afterlife too, I guess. I should have used 1-800-COLLECT.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
So Long Distance Call stars child actor Billy Mumy, or Mumy, however it's properly pronounced, in his first of 3 Twilight Zone appearances. His most iconic being that of the creepy little boy with supernatural powers in It's a Good Life, his second appearance. His third appearance was In Praise of Pip, the only episode where he played a normal kid, which he is most certainly not in this one, even though he doesn't have supernatural powers as far as I know. And here it is, the most terrifying episode of the Twilight Zone ever, with its dark subject matter of death being its main driving force. It's Long Distance Call. Hello, Death? Mimi, hi! Of course I'll off myself. Yeah, I'll be right there. I'm kidding, folks. I didn't really do that. I'm all grown up. I ain't stupid like Billy Mumy is in this episode. Anyway, it all starts off the way Alfred Hitchcock's The Magic Shop started off, with a creepy kid's birthday party. Only to make it creepier, we get to see where he gets it from. From his grandmother. A grandmother who so overly loves her grandson so much, she pretty much tells him not to get too used to her being alive shit. Because she's old and death is in the air, sonny boy.
You get the shovel and dig the hole.
Shovel!
Granny is not long for this world.
I won't be here with you for very long.
Grandma's gonna be right here next year and the year after that.
No, don't lie to him. I will be gone.
Thanks for that, Meme. This is a 5-year-old's birthday party, remember? Do you have to be such a downer? So, to liven things back up, the parents distract Billy. Yep, that's Billy Mumy's name in this episode. Billy. He's just a kid. It's probably easier for him to remember his fake name by just making it his real name. Sort of like Tony Danza. Only Tony Danza was a fully grown man who couldn't remember a fake name. Anyway, they distract him with more gifts.
Oh, this is the one I want you to open next.
But Grandma can't stand not being the center of little Billy's attention again,
Don't you want to see what Grandma got you?
and forces her gift to be next, so she can buy little Billy's love with this lazily wrapped toy telephone.
A telephone!
Aw, not unlike the Flintstone phone. Only the Flintstone phone didn't have supernatural powers. I don't think so anyway. So Grandma starts getting all weird again when she insists that now they can talk to each other at any time. Now that he has this toy telephone, like it's actually a real working telephone or something.
Hello.
Grandma then tries to stand when she feels Death tap her on the shoulder, and she suddenly feels herself becoming fatigued and has to go away, as little Billy talks into the phone as if he were actually talking to his dying grandmother, begging the creepy old hen not to die. So cut over to this room when, hey, shit, Rod Serling's in your house, just walking around and narrating. No one seems the wiser, like he's a ghost. This might be just as scary as the episode itself. Rod Serling manifesting out of nowhere as he goes into a narration rant about the Twilight Zone.
That indistinct highway through the region we call the Twilight Zone.
Which he's the president of.
That's the signpost up ahead.
You're in the Twilight Zone now, bitch. Next page. This doctor's bag. Because in the old days, doctors would just show right up at your house. None of this drive to the hospital shit and get fucked around with insurance. Everyone stands around waiting to hear Granny's update when the doctor's expression says it all. Not good. She's a very sick and dying old granny. Probably best to just take her out back and shoot her. I think it was her way. Kidding, of course. But her number one fan, little Billy, insists on seeing her drugged up, dying ass before she moves on to that waiting room from Beetlejuice. So cut to dying grandma, who's even more out of her mind now that she's on drugs. The true mental illness comes out of her as she goes on about how she lost her own son to a woman.
My son was taken away from me by a woman.
Meaning he grew up and got married. Granny seems to have trouble letting go of the past and accepting change. She's locked in a time where it was just her and her little boy versus the world. Now this little boy's all grown up into this guy, and she's all alone in the world now. Thus her little Billy obsession. And she is so obsessed with little Billy that she wants to take him to the other side with her. Right then and there.
This is my son now. I wish you could go with Grandma, Billy. Far away. You and me, Billy. No one else.
Okay, Granny, you can die now, you eerie old lady. This is getting weird. As she expresses all this to him in front of his actual parents and everything. So she considers Billy hers now. So if she's gonna die, by God, she's gonna take little Billy with her, damn it. Granny wants the company of her 5-year-old grandson when she gets to hell for being an obsessive nutbag. And what do you know? She dies right there in front of little Billy.
Grandma!
So he's traumatized for life now. He was already a little weird in his own world. But at least that crazy old bitch is out of the picture and we can move on with our lives now. So cut to Billy in the aftermath of Grandma's funeral, as he stares blankly into the pond in the backyard, looking at the fishes. And this is all clearly an indoor set here. However, little Billy even manages to make staring into a pond seem creepy. Little Billy's mom then takes this chance to express her discomfort with little Billy's relationship with his grandmother. It was weird. And to prove it even further, she discovers Billy talking on that phone that Granny gave him, seemingly pretending to talk to his dead grandmother. Yeah, that's not weird, right? On the day of her funeral? Does he realize she's dead? I mean, he's not the sharpest kid in the class, I bet.
You get the shovel and dig the hole.
Shovel!
Shovel. The only word he understood in that whole conversation, I think.
Shovel!
Billy then says that Grandma wants him to come stay with her.
She wanted to know if I can come stay with her.
Billy even asks his mom if this shit's alright.
Can I, Mama? Can I?
Can he? Can he go stay with his dead grandmother for a while? Like for the weekend? That's not weird, right? She can show you around the other side. I guess. She's dead, remember? You saw her die, little Billy. So cut to the next day when little Billy's dad gets home to a frantic babysitter and this guy in his house flipping a lid about his dumbass kid just running out into open traffic and nearly getting hit by his car. So yeah, little Billy almost got himself killed. How else was he gonna visit his dead grandmother on the other side, right? So Mom peeks in on little Billy just to make sure he's alright, and he's pretending to sleep. He makes that seem creepy too. However, he is safe and sound and out of harm's way for now. When we cut back to the driver of that car, the one Billy ran out in front of, and he claims that when he asked Billy why the hell he ran out in front of his car like that, Billy's answer was because someone told him to. Only who? I wonders. We can only wonder until the babysitter verifies that Billy has been on his little toy phone all day talking to Grandma. Now, does Billy think that once he visits Grandma in the afterlife, he can just return home like he was on vacation or something? Like it's a revolving door system over there? He should just try saying Beetlejuice 3 times. So Dad confronts little Billy about this apparent blotched suicide attempt he had, since Mom's getting concerned about his little toy phone obsession now. It's getting pretty serious at this point. At least a Flintstone phone never told you to go kill yourself, just so you could go visit Bedrock. Yabba dabba do, kid! You should stick your finger in the light socket so you can come visit Bonnie and I.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
So anyway, Dad tries to explain to little Billy that Grandma is dead, and he needs to stop pretending this whole talking to dead granny on the phone thing. It's freaking his mother out, and she's gonna have him committed and that phone incinerated. Billy agrees to all this, only as soon as they all leave, he's right back to it. The weirdo. So Pops tries to explain his mother's obsession with their son to his wife. How it stems all the way back to his childhood, when she lost her first few kids, and he was all she had at one point.
She just couldn't let go. That was all she had.
Only Mom's not giving in to this little sob story about her inability to deal with life, and the fact that children grow up, or sadly die sometimes, but that doesn't entitle her to her grandson in life and death, the greedy old coot. So cut to that night when we see that little Billy is still on that phone, talking to Grandma still.
Hooray for Peter Pan! That's a good story, Grandma.
And having a real swell time too. The weirdo. I mean, how much could you possibly have to say to your grandmother on the phone even when she was alive? Shit, little Billy, get a life. What could she possibly be telling him at this point? Okay, little Billy, next time try to get your entire head under the car tire as it's coming towards you. Idiot. Granny's getting lonely. Now he's being so loud on his toy phone that he wakes his mother up. Uh-oh, the jig is up now, little Billy. It's time for go to bed. You can flirt with your dead grandmother on the phone tomorrow, you creepy little OBU. So, Mom gets out of bed to investigate, sneaks into little Billy's room to find him in deep conversation with Grandma.
Can I have a chocolate ice cream bar?
She then snatches the phone real quick like and listens to see if she can hear anything, see if this shit's real or not. And the look on her face says it all. As she drops the toy phone to the ground in terror, she is freaked out. And so is Billy. You dropped his precious dead granny phone. That's when Dad comes running in to see what the hell all the commotion is. When Mom verifies to all of us that what she heard on the other end of the phone was Grandma's breathing.
I heard her.
Who?
She was there. She was there on the phone. She didn't say anything. I could hear her breathing.
Thus, the freaked out response she had. This scene is why I consider this the most terrifying Twilight Zone ever. When I saw this, I was just a kid, like 8 or 9 years old, and it freaked me out. Mentally anyway, and it scared the shit out of me. The mother actually being able to hear the grandmother's breathing verified to all of us that this wasn't just something in Billy's imagination. This shit was real. He was actually talking to his dead grandmother on the phone. The same phone she gave him as a gift before she died. It was almost as if she already knew that this toy phone was a link to the other side, even before she died. But it's that mother's reaction that really sells it. Way to go, lady. So in all this madness, Billy takes his chance to run downstairs and in a matter of seconds, drowns himself in the pond outside. So yeah, there's that. He commits suicide because his grandmother told him to from the other side, so they could be together again. And this shit freaked me out as a kid in a way I just never forgot. And I just love it. It's so eerie, and now it's so dark. Dad then comes to the rescue and pulls an unresponsive Billy out of the pond. Can you really just drown yourself like that, even if you want to, and that fast? But no matter now, when we cut to the doctors, who once again have just showed up right at the house of the patient. That's good service, even if it is to try to save the life of a 5-year-old who tried to kill himself, which is what they're doing here. And things are not looking good for little Billy. Little Billy just may be successful this time. This is nuts. So Mom freaks out, of course, and it's all up to Dad, whose last hope is that toy phone that Billy used to talk to his dead grandma. And he uses it to plead with his dead mother to not take their son away from them, please, on the slim hope that if any of this is real, that she might be able to actually hear him. It's a nice heartwarming speech, too, that nicely puts that dead selfish granny in her place. I mean, he's only 5 years old.
He's only 5. He doesn't know anything about going to school, or girlfriends, or wearing long pants.
Pants? First time wearing pants? Was that really a thing back then?
Or wearing long pants.
Boys can only wear shorts. They have to graduate to pants. I guess.
Give him back, Mom.
Anyway, Granny must actually agree that she's being a bitch because it actually works. Little Billy, by miracle, pulls through and comes out of it all alive and well.
I don't know how he did it, but he's gonna be all right.
But damn, that was close.
Shiva!
As Rod Serling wraps it all up with his final thoughts on all this wackiness about dead grandmothers trying to convince their living grandchildren to kill themselves so they can be with her on the other side, I don't know. I'm sure there's a message there. I guess.
A fact or a fantasy, a substance or a shadow, but all of it very much a part of the Twilight Zone.
That's some messed up shit, man, but very Twilight Zone-y, and the one that scared me the most and terrified me the most as I go into my final thoughts on Long Distance Call. I'm sure there are plenty of other episodes of the Twilight Zone that could be considered terrifying or scary. Like some people would say, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet one with Shatner. But I didn't see that one as a kid. I saw that when I was a little bit older, so it just seemed like a goofy giant teddy bear to me, although it was still entertaining as hell. I thought the one from the Twilight Zone movie remake of that episode was far more scary looking than the one from the episode of the TV show. Oh, and check this shit out. Yep, I have an action figure of that very character, Mr. Teddy Bear himself. And look, it comes with a piece of the plane that he ripped off. Pretty cool, huh? Thought I would share that with you. Yep, man on the wing of the plane. They made an action figure of that too. Alright, back to it. Now, a few facts about this episode. This episode was the last of 6 episodes to be filmed on videotape. A little experiment they were trying to try and save the production money, which they did. They saved about $5,000 an episode, but in the end, Rod Serling decided that it took away from the quality of the episodes that they wanted to make. So they went back to just doing it on film. And this was also one of the very few episodes to not be written by Rod Serling, who wrote most of the episodes. And this scene where Billy Mumy was found floating in the pond had to be dumbed down, because when they actually filmed it, they filmed Billy Mumy floating motionless in the water, and we're going to show it. And Billy Mumy was actually a good swimmer in real life, but Billy Mumy's mother objected to this, thinking that he would get strange ideas about suicide and didn't want to show it on TV. So it was cut down to just the mother's reaction as the father pulls him out. And finally, I want to talk about that grandmother. I got the idea that the grandmother knew before she died that that toy phone would be able to contact the other side so she could talk to little Billy after she was dead. Only how? How did she know this toy phone had magic powers? How did she know there was a way to call the afterlife with a toy? Did she have a spell put on it or something by the devil? Then when she is finally dead and talking on the phone to Billy, and the mother can actually hear her breathing. First, why does she still need to breathe if she's dead? Then there's the image of her, dead, on the other side, holding up the line at the afterlife payphone, just so she can talk to her little Billy and convince him to off himself. Delightful imagery. I picture it like the Beetlejuice afterlife, I guess. Similar rules here. You know, disorganized. And with that, I'll end my look at what I consider to be the most terrifying and scariest episode of the Twilight Zone ever. Long Distance Call. So love your grandmothers, yes, but know where to draw the line. Thankfully, my grandmother, who I called Meme, never tried calling me after she died, trying to convince me to kill myself so I could join her on the other side. I was a bit older than little Billy was when my grandmother, Meme, died, but thanks, Meme, that was nice of you. And that's it for now, folks. Adios, and I'll see you at the movies, or in this case on the television. Bye.